Now with me now in the studio is Ms. Abiola Basharul, the Chief Executive Officer of the Zoom Lion Global Alliance involved in waste evacuation and management. You're welcome to Weekend File.
Thank you.
Now, let's first of all do a review of the reports across the nation with respect to evacuation and management of refuse, or if you like, waste. So what's your perspective to this? What you have observed so far?
Well, I can start by saying my observations revolve around concepts, really, and the attitudes of the people, and funding, and also the technical know-how of the people in charge of it. And also I'm beginning to see, whilst we're dealing so much in this, that there needs to be a synergy between the private sector and the public sector.
Okay, now you watched all the reports that we put across this evening, concerning waste in Nigeria. I could see that a huge, problem across the nation. We have 36 states of the Federation and the FCT. I could see that evacuation is even a major issue. Now, when you talk about a collaboration or a synergy between government and of course, private organizations, how would that work? You are in charge of a private organization. How would it work?
Well, I guess it will work the way it's meant to work. I believe the federal government or the state government, local governments will provide the policies, they'll provide the enforcements, in some cases the financials and the funding, whilst the private sector comes in with a lot of technical know-how, a lot of result-oriented practices, and then that synergy will give you a holistic and effective waste management. Now,
result-oriented practices. You are a professional in this area. So what does Zoom Lion Global Alliance do, because it's involved in the waste evacuation and management?
Yes. Okay, what we do is we are experts in not only waste management, but waste management as a concept of environmental management and financial management, because most of us are ex-bankers, and we have started to go a step further to say, okay, how do we start to bridge the gap between what the government can provide and what you actually need for waste management? Because waste management is a practice that is very capital intensive, but when you look at the returns on the other side of the balance sheet, you will find out that a lot can be put in, but you can't get that money back so on time. So how do we bridge this gap to make this happen very quickly and to also help the people stay alive, really?
Okay, now our towns and cities are, full of waste here and there at different locations. Some are indiscriminately, disposed, and that is also bringing about some kind of health hazards. And you see, younger generation of Nigerians are unemployed. How could this be converted to employment with respect to establishing, technologically driven practice, as you rightly mentioned, to see how this can be, those wastes can be recycled and products come out of them? Is there a possibility?
Yes, and this is where I bring in the practice going on right now. When we came from Ghana, we started to go from state to state, and the only state government that really cut the vision very quickly, because they also had it in their, I think, their deliverables to the people, is Kaduna State government. Malam Nasir El-Rufai is very passionate about the environment, is very passionate about his people. So amongst the 15 states we approached, Kaduna State was the only state that gave a concept that involved the youths. Kaduna State was like, you're going to come in as an expert, but we're going to make sure we recruit at least 20% of our unemployed youths. Because Kaduna population is predominantly youth-based. And the governor and his government are of the opinion that since we need a whole lot of people to do this, it is an avenue to provide employment for the people. And because they are also members of families, we will be able to now disseminate that knowledge and drill it down into homes. And that's what we have in Kaduna State, where about 6,500 of the youth are employed in this sector.
All right. I'm glad you brought in El Rufai in this. He did it in Abuja as the minister of the FCTA during his time. That was when Abuja began to have a real feel of the nation's capital, cleanliness and what have you. Now, somebody's waste is another person's wealth, and we have also discussed a bit of it, in the past. But for now, we want a situation where state governments and even the federal governments could come together as in other climes. There is this a deliberate plan, deliberate attempt to see how these wastes can be, recycled and make products out of it. If you are in a position to advise government on this, well, what would you be telling them?
First slogan for us is no waste is to be wasted, because there's nothing like waste anymore. Waste is raw material. In fact, where the world is going now is zero waste to the dump site or to the landfill. So the first thing we want is for the government to start to put some money into the long term. And in the long term, what we're going to have will be the material recovery facility, where when you've picked the waste, you can separate them. Once this is done, plastics go towards plastic recycling. Soft plastic is the biggest menace in the environment. They are the ones that will go and clog the drainages and clog the canals, etc. So that goes into recycling of plastics, which is what we're doing in Kaduna State from next year. And then you go into metal recycling, and if the state is not even ready because of funding, the separation can be done, and you won't believe it, can be exported. We have started to talk to some Malaysian companies. We're talking to some Hungarian companies that would like to buy this waste off.
What are Nigerian companies? No Nigerian companies coming up for that?
No, I don't think any Nigerian company wants to buy waste because we have it in abundance. Mm-hmm. A lot of countries that have started to do waste to energy are not producing as much domestic waste. So they will need to buy from us, really, eventually.
All right, thank you very much for your insight in this. Well, time is too short for us, but of course you've made your points. Abiola Basharu, the CEO, Zoom Lion Global Alliance, involved in waste evacuation and management. Thank you once again for coming on Weekend File. Now, stay tuned for sports news and weather reports.